Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all staying safe. Today's video is a little different from the regular sustainability climate crisis content that I usually come at you with. Today we're talking about my polycystic ovary syndrome. We're talking about PCOS. And the reason we're talking about this today is because I mentioned it in my last video. I did a teeny tiny little mention of my PCOS in my last video and you guys picked up on that, which surprised me, but it was nice to get messages from you guys saying, "Hey Krishma, how do you deal with your PCOS? How long have you had it? What's it like for you?" So I thought I'd make a whole video on my polycystic ovary syndrome and how I've managed to overcome it without the use of medication. Before we start, I do want to caveat that if the medication used for PCOS works for you, please continue to use it. I think when it comes to all sort of bodily related issues, it's all about what works for you, and I'm just here to talk to you about what worked for me. Let's start by talking about what polycystic ovary syndrome is. It is exactly what it stands for. It's when your ovaries get lined with several cysts, which can lead to a variety of different problems, which you'll get into. But as we all know, your ovaries are your female reproductive organ, and they secrete the feminine hormone, even though men have it, estrogen or estrogen, however you want to say that. And polycystic ovary syndrome is when your ovaries get lined with little cysts. My gynecologist kind of described it to me as a string of pearls being lined around the edge of your ovaries, and these cysts aren't great because they produce testosterone and other androgens, so male hormones, and that can really mess up your hormone balance in your body and most of all disrupt your menstrual cycle. Essentially, these cysts that produce testosterone can delay or even completely get rid of your ovulation, which can mess up your menstrual cycle. A question that's often asked with PCOS, and a question that was definitely burning on my mind, was, is it serious? And the answer to that is, it depends. Most cases, it's okay. You get symptoms that are related and very similar to the normal symptoms you get when you get a period, but kind of heightened. So think acne, mood swings, weight gain, bloating. Your energy levels might be high at one time and then suddenly get very low. You might experience a lower sex drive, and I think the biggest problem coming out of PCOS is your irregular periods. Your periods are no longer regular. They might last a long time, they might not come at all. So I think that's the most unnerving thing about PCOS, at least for me. That was what disturbed me the most. Now, if you leave PCOS untreated, it can lead to bigger problems, because essentially what's happening is that your body isn't having a regular period, so your uterus lining isn't shedding regularly as it's meant to. So that can lead to things like endometrial cancer. And then also PCOS and the hormone imbalance that's associated with it can cause an insulin resistance in your body, which can lead to diabetes. And then lastly, one of the biggest concerns when it comes to untreated PCOS is fertility issues. A lot of women who didn't realize they had PCOS and then had it for a long time had trouble conceiving. So that's also something to keep in mind. My story with PCOS started back in 2018, 2 years ago. I realized something was wrong when I started to skip my period month after month, and I couldn't be pregnant, so I didn't know why that was happening. And then I would get my period and I would continue to bleed for like 2 or 3 weeks non-stop, and that was really unnerving. And of course, losing that much blood meant my energy levels had hit an all-time low, and I knew something was wrong. So I went to see my gynecologist, and usually what they'll do when they're diagnosing you with PCOS is they'll do an ultrasound, and they'll look into your uterus and see if anything's wrong, and if they see those little cysts like the string of pearls I was talking about earlier, then it is most likely that you have PCOS, and that's exactly what happened with me. They still haven't figured out what the actual cause of developing PCOS is. There are studies done that correlate things like being overweight to developing PCOS. Also, if you have a family history of the disease, you could get PCOS. And I think in my case, what probably caused it was stress. I used to be an individual that stressed out a lot. I still am, and I'm still working on that. But definitely, I've learned to manage my stress better. But stress can be a huge factor in a woman developing PCOS. To treat my PCOS, my gynecologist gave me birth control, and this is probably one of the most popular ways to treat the disease, and I was on Ales 28, and I was probably on it for about 5 months. until I realized that I hated how I felt on birth control. I didn't feel great at all. Like I said before, if it works for you, stay on the medication. But for me, the side effects of birth control just weren't worth it, and I was willing to go out there and look for another option to deal with this disease than to stay on this medication that was kind of wreaking havoc on my life. First of all, I have a family history of breast cancer, and the birth control pill is linked to breast cancer, especially if you have a family history of it, so that was one reason I wanted to stay away. But the main side effect that really got me down was the mood swings. The pill had me feeling 100% one moment and then had me feeling like absolute crap the other. I felt levels of depression and anxiety that I'd never felt before, and I had loved ones like my family, my friends, my boyfriend saying, you know, you don't usually act this way, like, why are you getting these mood swings? And I knew it was because of the pill, and I decided that I wanted to stop. Oh, and breast pain. My boobs hurt like crazy while I was on the pill, and I was not a fan of that, not at all. Where I am now, 2 years later, I'm very proud of how far I've come. I did manage to get my period back without going back on the birth control. And this is through several lifestyle changes that I've implemented over the last 2 years. It hasn't been a smooth ride. There has been times where, you know, I couldn't keep up and I had to go back on the pill to make sure that my PCOS didn't come back. But, you know, I've been off the pill for a solid 6 months now. I'll tell you the story exactly, but I was on the pill for 5 months, and then I was off it for another 6 months, and I was on it again, off it again, and then my last bout of taking the pill was for 2 months in December and January, and I haven't taken it since, and I have been getting my regular period. So let me tell you how. The biggest change that I've brought about in my life has been my food. And I've mentioned this before in my videos about sustainability, but cutting out meat has been huge for me and my health. I wanted to cut out meat ever since I learned about how unsustainable modern farming practices are, so that really aligned with my kind of climate crisis intentions. But then I also learned about how meat can really wreak havoc on your body chemistry, especially in the way that it's produced now in the factory farming system that we live under. First of all, many studies have shown that animal proteins can increase your body's insulin resistance, which is what I was talking about earlier, can lead to diabetes. Since PCOS already puts you at risk of developing insulin resistance, I didn't want to increase that risk anymore by consuming meat. Studies also show that the meat that we consume now at the grocery store, factory farmed meat, has been treated with antibacterials, antibiotics, growth hormones, and sex hormones. And considering that PCOS is at its root a hormone imbalance, I didn't want to be putting any extra hormones in my body that I didn't need to add to the confusion that is already PCOS. I wanted to understand this disease without adding the complexity that comes with eating factory farmed meat that has been treated with sex hormones. The FDA does approve the use of testosterone, estrogen, and other androgens in meat production. So it has been proven that when we eat meat, we are consuming those things. The same hormones, a variety of androgens, have also been found in cow's milk. To answer the question as to why they feed cows and other animals these hormones, it's to fatten them up and to get them pregnant faster and to get them producing milk faster, producing babies faster, because I guess the foundation of factory farming and modern meat farming practices are efficiency, you know? Get more meat out there faster, which is also why, tying it back to sustainability and climate change, which is also why meat is such a huge cause of deforestation. And I talked about this in my other video, but the Amazon fires that were all over the news last year, it's because those rainforests are being cut down to make space for cattle to graze. It is so unsustainable to eat meat the way it's produced nowadays that if you cut meat out of your diet, you reduce your carbon footprint by 2/3. However, there is a way to consume meat that's a little less adulterated, and that's by reaching out to your local farmers, asking them about their practices, and sourcing meat from them rather than from the big box meat companies that you know very little about. Visit your farmer's market, reach out to a farmer on Facebook or something like that, and you could source meat for yourself in a healthier way. If you do want to learn more about what goes into industrial meat production these days, I would watch Food Inc. and I would also watch Cowspiracy. Those documentaries really opened my eyes as to what I'm consuming and kind of deterred me from eating meat. The second thing that I did related to my diet, which I did to keep my PCOS under control, was to eat at home more and to start cooking more. So I got diagnosed with PCOS when I was in my second year at university, at which point I was eating out at least 4 or 5 times a week. And I know it sounds unhealthy, but that's where I was at the time. I realized that I had cut meat out because I didn't trust what was going into it. By that same logic, I should also be cutting out other unknowns from my diet. So if I go out to eat or if I get takeout, I don't know exactly what's going into that food, which is why second year was the year I learned to cook. I started eating more tofu, I started eating more dark green, leafy greens, I started drinking more nut milk as opposed to cow's milk, and that was a real pivotal turning point in my diet, in my eating habits, because it had become necessary for me to change up the game when it comes to food so that I could keep my PCOS under control without taking the pill. The third change I made was to drink less coffee. In second year and first year of university, my caffeine consumption was very, very high. And after reading some articles that talked about how caffeine can be linked to PCOS getting worse, I didn't completely cut it out of my diet because I do know that a little bit of coffee is good for you. I limited myself to 1 cup a day. And now I'm at the point where I really only drink coffee if I need to stay awake. My caffeine tolerance is super low and I've become more of a tea fan. Actually, ever since lockdown started, I've been trying all sorts of different teas and I've been loving it. So cutting down on the coffee also helped. The third thing I did, which was probably one of the biggest things in getting my period back aside from changing my diet, was starting to work out. If you do a quick Google search on this, you'll find lots of studies that link weight training to reducing the effects of PCOS, and it worked for me. See, how it works is that the cysts in your ovaries produce the male hormone, which is testosterone. When you work out, specifically to grow your muscles, they use up that testosterone in order to grow. And that essentially cuts out the negative effects that testosterone is going to have on your body because it's getting used up so fast. So I try and make it a habit to work out at least 4 times a week. And I'm not perfect with that, definitely not perfect with that. I'm much more disciplined with my eating than I am with my workout schedule, but I have come a long way. Weight training is a part of my workout routine all the time. I know it might not look strong, but as long as I feel it the next day, I know that it's working. And it's not just weight training, it's also just about staying active. So I know I've been going on a lot of walks in quarantine, I've been spending a lot of time in the garden, digging up vegetable beds and pulling out weeds, and that's also very energy intensive, which also has really beneficial effects for your PCOS. Another thing I do to keep my PCOS under control is I avoid endocrine mimickers, and this is what I was talking about in my last video when I mentioned my PCOS. Endocrine mimickers are man-made compounds that mimic the effects that our sex hormones like estrogen and testosterone have in our body. And you can find endocrine mimickers in a lot of things, so I have to be careful about a lot of stuff that I bring into my life. For example, plastic Tupperware has endocrine mimickers in it, certain kinds of it, especially if you microwave it, so I've been avoiding that. I've been using glass Tupperware instead, or ceramic. Chemical sunscreen has long been known to be an endocrine disruptor. When it soaks into your skin, when it goes into your bloodstream, it does mimic the effect of certain hormones, and that can lead to a whole variety of different problems even if you don't have PCOS, so I would highly, highly recommend that you switch to a mineral sunscreen like I did. And then there's a whole bunch of skincare products that come with lots of different ingredients that can act as endocrine mimickers. So I have put in the time to educate myself about what ingredients I need to actively avoid, and I curate my skincare products as such. And I'm happy to say that after the past 2 years of implementing these changes into my life, I have my period back. And it definitely wasn't a smooth ride. There was ups and downs. So there was times when I knew I was like going on vacation and I had exams that I wouldn't be able to keep up with my workout schedule. And I would be ordering takeout sometimes. And I did go on the pill for those periods in time because I figured I would rather deal with the side effects of the pill than risk getting my PCOS back after all the hard work I'd done. But like I said, I haven't been on the pill since January, and I have been getting my period regularly, which I'm really, really happy about. I would say PCOS also changed my viewpoint because most people dread their period coming, but every time I start my period I get really happy because it means that my PCOS is under control, it means that my lifestyle changes are working, and it makes me feel very proud of myself. So I get really happy when I get my period actually. My cycle is a little longer than most cycles, it's a little longer than 30 days or a month. I think my cycle is about 40 days, which I've learned after I started tracking my period because that also really helps. when I decided to get my PCOS under control without the use of the pill, I also decided to start tracking my period so I'd know if there were any irregularities or if my cycle had gone a little too long or a little too short. But I think now I'm familiar with my natural about 40-day cycle. And that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little different from my other videos, and we will be going back to our regular sustainability and climate crisis content. But if you are out there and you have PCOS or you're curious about it, I hope this video helped. Please don't hesitate to ask me any questions in the comments or provide me with any feedback. Again, I'm not a medical expert. I'm just trying to learn about what works for my body. And if you have any other knowledge that I didn't mention in this video, please leave it in a comment down below. And remember to like and subscribe if you liked my videos. That would make me very, very happy. And I will see you on my next video. Bye.